Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is actually one of my most anticipated bikes, and I'll tell you why in a second. This is the 2026 Suzuki GSX 8T. Now, I drove the 8R this year, had it for a little bit and did a riding review on that. And looking back over the bikes that I've driven this year, that was one of my favorite bikes. Now, I'm not saying it's the best bike for everybody, I'm not saying it's the best bike for you, but for me, it was kind of the everything you would want in a motorcycle. It's got plenty of power beyond what you might need. It's got technology for those of you looking for technology, including quick shifters and a whole bunch of other stuff, which we'll talk about in this video because this bike also has those. And it has pretty cool sporty looks. The 8R is the sport one, the 8S is the standard one, and now Suzuki's coming out with the 8T and the double T, the TT as well. Now, I haven't got the TT here to compare. We're going to do a comparison video of them in the future, especially seating positions and that kind of thing. But the TT basically has a little bit more of a fairing in there, a little bit more style that this one doesn't have. This is more of the naked version of that bike. And to me, this is well worth talking about because I think this is a really good bike for a vast majority of motorcyclists. You could ride it as a beginner, but it's certainly the next step up bike that could last you for all the kind of riding you want to do. So in this review, we're going to go over the details of this bike. We're going to show you the practical pieces that maybe other videos aren't showing you, and we're going to try to see if it's the right bike for you. So before we go any further, I'm filming in a little bit of a low light condition because I am here in Rally Motorplex where everything is jam-packed. Even motorcycles, they still have tons of them. I'm on the second floor out here by the Royal Enfield section. If you're looking for the Suzuki right now, used to be on the main floor. It'll be back there in the spring, but they have 2026s in stock right now, and they give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup. So if you have questions, I get to come back to these bikes again and again. And this is one that I will come back to. We will do more videos on this bike. I'm going to see if I can get this bike to ride from someone and get it available. Suzuki Canada, if you're watching, I would love to get on your press list and be able to ride a bike like this this year, if possible. All right, let's talk about this class of bike. A lot of people want these retro style bikes to be more retro, and that's just not what they are. Kawasaki had the Z900 RS SE that I used to ride, and then they didn't update it last year. It's now got some updates this year, but again, the point of these bikes is to give you a fully modern sport bike, essentially a sport bike, with a different seating position and all of the technology. In other words, it's a style exercise. Now, this one has a couple little components. To be fair, all the manufacturers do charge a little bit extra for their more stylish versions like this than they do for other things. I think some of that is warranted in equipment. I think some of that is it's a profit margin thing. But I can tell you right now, I think I would buy this over the 8R. As much as I would love to have a true sport bike looking bike in my lineup, this one fits who I am right now and what I want to do. So let's go through this, starting at the front, working way back, start showing you some of the details. Again, some details that maybe the other videos aren't showing you. So if you've never seen my videos before, I always like to start at the front wheel because you can tell the manufacturer's intent for a bike, and that's exactly what you're going to see here. If you take a look at this, this is in no way a retro style front wheel. This is a traditional 120 wide front tire, 17-inch diameter. This is a normal sport bike size tire. These are Dunlop Road Sport 2 tires, pretty mid-pack for this class. There's some that are a little grippy, some that maybe don't last as long, so it's kind of mid-pack. You know, they're going to be totally fine for what you got here. Now, you do have radial mount, dual disc brakes, of course well ventilated, large disc brakes, of course with ABS and that kind of thing, so that's typical stuff. KYB suspension with the upside down forks here. Again, all of this is typical stuff. Not everybody would maybe have the KYB, but as you're moving up from a traditional beginner bike to this, in my mind, this is exactly what you would want, and you don't need, and in many cases you shouldn't want, anything more than what you have right here. You've got a capability of a bike that is exactly a sport bike, that's what this is, but in a different styling package, more comfortable. So again, not a whole lot to say here simply because it's all very good stuff. Decent sport tires, good brakes, great suspension, all the kind of stuff you would want in this class. Now let's move back to this engine. So as we look in this class, you're going to see some options from other brands and that kind of thing. And I will say that you have some variety within this class. You've got the Kawasaki with a little bit less displacement. You've got Yamaha with not necessarily the retro bike, but a little different style bikes using this similar displacement engine. What I love about this engine is it is really good on the street. And what I mean by that is it's torquey everywhere. Torque is what you feel. A lot of people want the sport bike that has all the power up top in the rev range, and this one actually doesn't really have that. It's probably not the best racetrack engine, but what it does have is probably one of the best street engines. It is exceptionally quick. You do not need to use more than second gear to be well beyond the speed limit, but you have something that is relatively smooth, that is a 270-degree crank, so it sounds cool. You've got something that works through the 6-speed transmission with the quick shifter, so you've got the quick shift up and quick shift down, auto blipping down, all the technology you would want, and then it's connected to ride modes and everything else with a ride mode, a digital throttle, that kind of thing. So you've got everything you would want in a modern bike. A little bit more power than some competitors, but the power where you use it. So it feels, to me anyways, like a lot more power than some of the other bikes, and that is kind of the feeling you want. Now, you also have the benefit of a nice handling package. So again, a lot of bikes in this class are going to give you these shorty exhausts down here. All of the emissions control pieces are down here. Some people like that, some people don't, but the point of it being down here is these are heavy components, and when they are heavy, you can do all of your emissions cleanup in this catalytic converter down underneath here. So by having the weight down low, not putting an extra exhaust on here, all of your weight is centralized and low. That's also going to contribute to handling. One interesting thing with this bike, the battery in it is a lithium battery. That's not the case with the 8R and the 8S, unless they update that for 2026 as well. But that also takes a lighter weight. Lithium is a significantly lighter weight battery, a little bit more temperature control, that kind of thing, but that lithium battery makes it lighter weight, so it lowers that center of gravity. Aluminum swing arm here, steel frame, and of course, you know, nice 120 width tires here, or 180 width tires here in the back. So again, a wide tire for what this is. It's going to give you both the style and the performance, and that's one of the things I really liked about the performance of the 8R, which this is going to drive a lot like, because a lot of it is shared. So let's talk seating position of this bike. That's one of the benefits of these retro designs, is generally they are probably the most comfortable versions of these bikes. So as I jump on here, I'm about 6 feet tall. I always say you can't ever compare, or can't only compare just seat height, because the seat width and the seat shape makes a big difference. So you can see here, I've got the kickstand a little bit in my way here, but I'm easily flat footing as a 6-footer. That's one of the nice things about this bike, is it is in no way intimidating. You have a proper seat height. Now, you do have a sporty riding position. There's no rubber foot pegs on this. A lot of times they do that for smoothness in other bikes. I didn't notice any smoothness issues when I rode the 8R. Again, that bike just really stuck out to me. It's one of those bikes that still stuck out as something that was a lot of fun. So, seating position, your legs are in a little bit of a sporty position. What that's going to do is it's going to allow you to lean over as far as on any sport bike and have those good lean angles. Now, this naked bike, you still have a little bit of a lean forward, but not a sport bike. I would say, from my memory, it's higher than the 8R. I can't remember the 8S, but certainly a very comfortable position here. Nothing really in front of you here other than the tank. You have just your gauge cluster here, which will cluster as a TFT display. We'll show you that in just a second here, and we're going to talk about some of the controls in here. But seating position is all day comfortable. They do make a good point of having the retro style seat here. I will say it's quite grippy, which is nice to have. You feel like you're very in control, and the tank is carved out. Sometimes these retro bikes, they go full retro in the tank and you don't really feel connected to the bike. You really want to feel connected on a sporty bike, and being that this is a full sport bike with a retro look, that was one of the things I liked about the 8Rs. I felt really connected to it. It felt really stable in turns, and this is going to feel very similar. A couple differences here. You have the mirrors out here on the bar ends. I find that they're not adjusted correctly for me, but they're definitely going to be close to you, which is one thing I like, and they're definitely going to be no elbows in the shot, in the view there, so that's going to help you out as well. So seating position is very good. I quite like it. I feel like you're upright, you can see the town, and again, this retro style seat, they've got that modern urethane in here. They talk about it being sort of a firm urethane as opposed to the soft kind of sponge. So the modern padding in here, little bit firm in the showroom, not as firm as others in the showroom, but generally what I find is the somewhat firmer, or this style firm in the showroom, is going to be comfortable on a longer trip. So not so firm that it's hard, but not so soft that it feels great in the showroom, and then all of a sudden you get really uncomfortable out on the road. So seating position, I actually quite like this seating position. All right, let's take a look at the gauge cluster, or the gauges here and the controls, and talk about some of the technology in this bike that make it a fully modern sport bike. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. You have a simple flash to pass, which is easy to reach. You can lock your high beam on like that, and then you have signals and horn down here, all exactly where they should be, easy to reach. And then this is all you need. And this is one of the problems with getting to a bike that is more expensive than this one, is you end up with confusing controls that can do 1,000 things, and most of which you're never going to use. Think about your iPhone or your Android phone. It does 10,000 things, but you only really need to do 20 things with. This thing does the 20 things that all of us need to do very well. So you can move up and down the menus, you can switch your ride modes here. It's all very simple in 2 controls. You know where the button is for modes, you know where the up and downs are, and that's it. And the menu system actually makes sense. So again, I can do a review on this dash sometime in the future, but this is very simple to control. There's not a variety of controls. There's not a second hand where you have to use your right hand for some pieces and left hand for other pieces. All of this makes sense and it's easy, and that's why I want to give Suzuki some credit for going with the dash they went with, because from a rideability and safety perspective, I do think this is a good dash that gives you all of the features you need without being complicated. Over here on the throttle side, you have a start switch, the kill switch, which all the same switch, and then of course you have your hazard warning lights as well. I really like bikes with hazard warning lights. I think it's an extra safety measure. I think it's good for a whole bunch of reasons. We can talk about that in a different video. One Suzuki thing that I will point out is you don't have to hold the start button to start this bike. You just have to tap it and it will turn over as many times as it needs to start. Again, another nice little feature. You know, sometimes the bike's a little cooler, battery is maybe a little lower, whatever it is. It's going to figure out how many times you have to do it. So it's a nice Suzuki feature that they brag about. I don't know that it makes a huge difference. It's not a buying decision type thing, but it is nice to be able to tap that and just let it do its thing and turn over and take care of itself. All right, let's talk about who this bike is for. So when we talk about who this bike is for, you got to keep in mind I have a bias. For whatever reason, the other version of this bike, the 8R, really stuck in my head as something that was a whole lot of fun. And different motorcycles can be fun in different ways. I mean, I just reviewed a Royal Enfield 350cc single cylinder, you know, like 20-ish horsepower or so. And it was cool, it was fun, but it's not fun at all in the same way this is. This is a performance bike that gives you cool style. I love this engine transmission technology package on this bike. And I think what it does is it offers you a whole different style that may be more acceptable or more pleasing to some people. Now the problem is, with this styling, you do pay more. A little bit more, not crazy, but I still think you're getting good value for what it is. Again, this is the bike you could buy once and just keep forever, especially if you're looking for a bike that has a little bit of style, but also has all of the modern technologies you want. You don't want a race-looking bike that just is a cop magnet. You don't want the 8S, which maybe is a little bit of a funny thing. To me, I mean, this has got a short rear end and the long fender thing. Some people don't like that on the other 8S, 8R type versions, but it almost fits a little bit better in this look. The bar end mirrors kind of give you some custom style. All of that technology, including the quick shifter, including the great engine, including that torque-rich engine, torque down low, really makes this thing a rocket around town. Now, I'm not saying it's the fastest bike out there, but I will tell you I would rather drive this 8 Series engine, the 8S, 8R, 8T, than the GSX 1000. This is just more approachable, more street friendly, still gives you the thrill and the fun, and you feel like you're shifting through the gears and having fun rather than shifting through the gears and being instantly illegal. It corners well, it handles well, at least in the 8R version, and this will be very, very similar. So I really like this bike, and honestly, I prefer this over the 8S styling, and that might just be me. Am I willing to pay more for the styling? I probably would. I don't think I would buy the 8S. Do I want sport bike styling, or do I want this, the 8R or this? That's the thing. There is also the 8TT. That's going to have a retro style fairing, so we're going to talk about if that's right for everybody, whether that's right for you or not. And we're also going to compare seating positions on those. They may be a little different. I haven't looked into that far enough. But this, being one of my favorite bikes to ride last year, is definitely a bike that I'm expecting to be a highly recommended bike from me this year, depending on your riding style. Now, you shouldn't buy what I should buy. I'm just saying, for a sport bike, this would be everything I would want in a sport bike, a road sport bike. It's got all the technology you would want. It's got good comfort. It's got a great seating position, good visibility, easy to use technology. Everything's right there. It's just hard to fault this bike if you look at it from a logical perspective. Now, again, if you're buying a bike from an emotional perspective, there may be other bikes you want as well, and I won't fault you for buying those as well. I'll continue to film all kinds of bikes on this channel. So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to help my channel and you made it this far in the video, find a few videos you like, watch them to the end. That helps me grow. The more I grow, the more access I have to things. And Suzuki, I'm going to be knocking on your door. I would love to have this as a review bike to actually get some riding in and talk about it more. All right, there we go. we'll continue moving on through Rally Motorplex here. Lots to show you today, and lots more other brands coming up as well in the future. Thanks everybody for watching.